Hello and good evening. Okay, so tonight's live chat is going to be on, just had a boss on that, whether you're the right person or not. There was another chat I did about a week or two ago about that, but I think I might as well revisit it. You may not want to ask questions on this one. It may be one that there isn't really any questions to ask, but you certainly can do. And I will also have a quick talk about how to get started and a quick link so you can get that process going. Even if you're not 100% sure, I'd still get the process started, like I've said in the other videos. Then you can find out if you're fit and proper in person and you're not waiting for that, because it can take up to 2 months for that to happen. So you might as well get that ball rolling, even if you're just considering it, really. Give the DVSA something to do, won't it? Okay, and it's free, so you know there's no problem with doing that. So basically, are you the right type of person? A lot of people that I meet that want to become driving instructors, I ask them why they want to become driving instructors, and there's something flashing which is annoying. It's just going to cover that up. Not got OCD or anything. So they ask me if I ask them why they want to become driving instructors. Quite often, because I like driving. Yeah, maybe, but you're not really going to be driving that often. You'll be driving between lessons. But when people say they like driving in a certain way. They're proud of their driving and things like that. And you're going to be sitting next to people that aren't going to really drive in that way. So that could annoy you and wind you up and things like that. So that's the reason. I think about why you're doing it. If it's a second career thing, there's nothing wrong with that. Think about, is it the ideal second career? How does it fit in with your life? All that sort of stuff. The amount of work required to qualify. That's pretty important because that takes it takes a little time, like we spoke about in the other videos. Are you patient enough? And it's quite interesting. Patience is an interesting thing because I'm not particularly patient. Just ask my 9-year-old. But I am empathetic, and that's a slightly different thing. And basically, I'm empathetic with people learning a new skill. So I don't think just because I've told them twice they should get it. You know, if Federer told me twice how to serve, it doesn't mean I'll be playing in Wimbledon next year. It does, learning doesn't work like that. So I suppose if you have a passion for people's learning, how people learn, how you learn, how they learn, and really learn a lot about learning when you're learning this process, if that makes sense. Learn how you learn. Learn that it's not as easy as it sounds. If your trainer says, "Oh, you need to put the handbrake on and then pop it into neutral rather than the other way around," how long does it actually take to get that and to solve that problem? If you're going down the gears and your trainer says, "Okay, so we don't go fifth, fourth, third, second, eighth, first anymore. We go from what speed do we want to what speed do we need. We pick the appropriate gear at the end." It's not as easy as someone just telling you that and doing it. It takes a lot of practice, it takes understanding. You need to understand it and know why you're doing that, and then you're much more likely to be actually able to go and do it. So how do you learn? How are you empathetic, as I say? Do you enjoy how people learn? Would you enjoy a challenge of someone who might have a learning difficulty or someone that just doesn't get it as easy as other people? Would you enjoy that, or would it frustrate you? Do you think people are idiots just because they don't get something because you do? Would you enhance that? Would you go and do extra studying for it? Would you look into it? Would you talk to people like me and Louise and other people that are experts in that field and really want to learn about it, or will it just frustrate you? So think about how you are with 8-year-olds, how you are with kids, how you are with teenagers, because you're dealing with teenagers. Amazes me the number of driving instructors out there don't like teenagers. Interesting. You don't have to not market towards teenagers. There's a lot of work around at the moment, so you can certainly market towards another brand of customer if you want. You don't even have to do learners. There's fleet, there's towing, there's HGV, there's off-road stuff. So you don't necessarily have to even do learners. There's lots of different avenues you can go down. So that may not be your thing. We're having a lot of people come through at the moment that are doing it for their job. So a lot of service people like police and ambulance and fire brigade. Doing a fire brigade at the moment, done an ambulance a few months ago. Not the actual fire engine, like the ambulance, but the people, because they're trainers for those bodies, and most of them require ADIs now, so they're training to be ADIs. But you could be an ADI and then go there, or you could already be doing that job but have to qualify as an ADI. So it's going to be a bit different for you guys because you're already doing the job. So this may or may not be relevant really. So if you enjoy a challenge, you enjoy helping someone, and you enjoy finding a way to make it work, then this is the job for you. So say if you get frustrated quite easily with people that you think are being idiots or don't understanding something, then you're going to get very annoyed very quickly because no one learns in the same way, and you've got to be willing to adapt. So that's one of the biggest skills you need, is a willingness to adapt and self-reflection. If it's going wrong and someone keeps stalling, for example, it's going to be down to you in some way. Your level of instruction, your instruction itself is wrong, or when you're saying that instruction is wrong. So if you're willing to do that, and it's surprising the number of people that don't self-reflect and always blame somebody else, and never look at themselves. It's important you don't blame yourself, because there's a difference between self-reflection and self-criticism. Self-criticism is a poison, if you like, and self-reflection helps you grow. So it's, I want to say manure there, but that's not really what I'm looking for. It's something that will help you grow as a person. If you think you're that type of person, then that's great. But it can be quite difficult to self-analyze ourselves and really be honest with ourselves. So it's pretty important that you take advice from third parties, friends, family particularly. They will give you an honest opinion on how you are and how tolerant you are and how forgiving you are to people and how much you take responsibility for things. Because if you don't take responsibility for things in everyday life, the chances are you won't take responsibility when you're in the car with the pupil. The reason I bang on about this is because it's crucial. You only have to go to a test centre, get emails about this one. You go to a test centre, you'll find quite a lot of disillusioned driving instructors. It could be the job, it could be them, it could be the pupils, it could be a match of everything. Maybe they're not fitted to the job. And it's not very easy for humans to change. That's why people go on diets and then don't go on a diet and stop drinking and drink again and da 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 da. So you may be able to change to a certain degree, but probably not as much as you would hope you can. So it's important to make that own self-reflection and that own look at yourself and really decide. And that's what I was talking about yesterday, about potentially not paying lots of money up front, because you might find as you go through the process you decide actually this isn't for you, and you'll be better off dropping out rather than being disillusioned. And I can speak from an honest point of view that I took 3 or 4 years to qualify, went around twice, did the job for 6 months, less than that probably, got disillusioned and left because everything was going wrong. I was blaming the pupils. I was very young. I was 22 years old, probably not that mature, and just blaming them all the time rather than actually thinking, well, if they're all doing it, it's got to be something to do with me, hasn't it, really? There's something I'm doing wrong here. And went and got extra advice and got into it again, and that's where I am, how I got to where I am now, I suppose, because I'm always trying to improve and trying to sort of think, what can I do to improve that? What is it that's happening that I'm doing wrong? But I say, important to self-analyse rather than self-criticise. They're not the same thing, okay? So if you really feel you're that type of person and that you can do that and you can analyse your own performance and you're willing to do that and you're willing to take it on the chin sometimes, and unfortunately lots of people aren't, then this can be a fantastic job. But if you're not, it can really be, you can get disillusioned very, very quickly. Rich says, my friends and family thought I'd make a great driving instructor, even though I thought of doing the job myself. Their support helped me start the process. Absolutely, your friends and family will be honest with you. They're not always right, of course, we know that, don't we? Because we're always right. But they know you better than anyone else, and they will know that it's about frustration, really. So it's the main thing you don't want, is to be frustrated by things very easily. And I get frustrated by things sometimes, but only things I can't control. Well, I know with the learner I can control it to a certain extent, and it's down to me how that's controlled and how that all works. Obviously, working with the pupil as well. But if you're someone that gets frustrated in things you can't change, then you're going to find it's quite difficult, because some things you can change, and you can't change, let's say, the exterior parts of the car. So people tailgating, people going past you 40 and 30, things like that. You can't change that, and if that winds you up and annoys you, you're going to be wound up and annoyed all day. I'm on sites where people put up videos of people doing things wrong, and they get very angry and very annoyed. But I wouldn't want to spend 8-10 hours a day getting angry and annoyed. I look for solutions to that. So coming near a junction, someone's edging forward, just ease back a bit, because you know they're going to come out. So it's all about the anticipation, which is what the part 2 is all about, to see that you've got that anticipation. So it is important that you do self-reflect, really, without going over the same points over and over again, that you are really honest with yourself, because you don't want to spend a lot of time and money starting the process or going through the process and finding it's not for you. And also look at how much work are you willing to put into it. If you're the sort of person that likes things to come to you, then again it's not ideal, because you have to be willing to put in that work. Equivalent to 2 A levels, I would say, normally. Not that I've done 2 A levels, but they tell me about the same workload, not knowledge or academic ability. I have no academic ability at all. I have 1 GCSE in woodwork, I think. But I am happy to get down and knuckle down and do it when I need to do it, if I really want it. So that all ties in together. If you're the right person and you really have a passion for it, and I mean a passion rather than, it'd be a nice little secondary income. The problem with that is that you won't probably have the passion for it, and therefore you probably won't put in the work. You won't enjoy it, and that will also make you disillusioned. And what I don't want, and I don't think anyone wants, is people to come into the industry, and that includes, I don't want it for yourselves, to come to the industry and then get disillusioned within 2 or 3 months and leave just bought a new car and qualified and all that sort of stuff, just because it doesn't fit into you. You know, trainers will say, oh, you can fit it in around the school runs and all that sort of stuff. I'm doing that now, but it's taken quite a lot of years to do that, and basically quite a lot of nerve, if you like, to say, no, that's my diary. But I'm in a position where I can do that, where you won't be to begin with necessarily. So you have to be flexible. You have to be someone who likes helping people. Sometimes you have to put yourself out. You know, you have to be someone that's willing to put themselves out occasionally. You might have to go out on a Friday evening. We don't really want to, but people's got a test on Saturday morning. Could just do with doing a couple of more manoeuvres, or go down the area because they're in a different area or something like that, or they've done a new test route and you just want to go and check out that roundabout. You've got to be willing to do that. You know, you don't have to be working 24/7, but you have to be willing to be able to go and do that, and be a little bit flexible when necessary. Don't be silly about it, because people will take the mickey, but you have to be willing sometimes to do that when needed. Okay, so that's my little speech on that, really. Just lots of self-reflection. Talk to other instructors, like I said before in the other videos, at test centres and things like that. They will tell you what it's really like out there. It's really good fun. It's really enjoyable, but some people don't enjoy it. So it depends what you enjoy and what you don't enjoy. And whether you like a challenge. It's about liking a challenge. If you like a challenge and you like to get your teeth into it and you like to think about how you can get around a challenge, great. If you get frustrated because things don't go your way every time, you're going to be quite annoyed with this job, I'm afraid. So the next thing is to get, if you think, well, actually, yeah, I do think I am playing, then get started. Just very quick while I'm getting started, there's lots of links out there on our site and things, but if you go to driving, I'll put this link on this thread in a second. If you go to driving-instructor.tv, become, that will take you to the DVSA site. Just a quick link for you. Take to the DVSA site, which has, it says start, and you put in your details like how long you've had license, how many points you have, that sort of stuff. It'll give you a rough idea whether you can go for it or not. And also there's a link in the same place. There's a link that says before you start you'll need your CRB. I would do the start bit first and then go back and then do the CRB bit, and it tells you how to fill that in. They get back to you, and then you get going. And I would start that process as early as you can. The earlier you start it, even if you're still thinking, oh, well, I'm a bit worried now because says this, that and the other, but you can still send that off. Just wouldn't be spending out £2,000 with a big company or any company until you're really happy that this is a job for you. One of the things I haven't mentioned about doing that is sit in the back of a few lessons. You know, I'm more than happy for people to sit on my lessons. Fortunately, I don't have any learners anymore, but I would be. And most instructors would be, because most instructors want people to come to the industry that are going to enjoy the job, and I keep banging on about it, but it's so crucial. To go and sit on lessons for half a day, 2 hours, 3 or 4 weeks, you know, get to sit on different types of pupils, your gifted pupils, your less gifted pupils, your strugglers, your ones that talk a lot, the ones that don't talk at all. Get an idea of what it's all about. See if you actually would enjoy it. Because it can be a really enjoyable job, but some people really don't enjoy it, and I know I keep on about that, but it is really crucial before you go down that path of deciding to do it. Doesn't mean you wouldn't, because you'd enjoy the job, wouldn't necessarily mean you'd enjoy the training. When I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, I had someone come on and said she gave up, she didn't enjoy the training process. Well, the training process is different from the qualifying. Once you're qualified, how you teach it is at the moment anyway, until it changes. So just because you're maybe not enjoying the training process, particularly the part 3, doesn't mean you won't be a good instructor. So don't let that necessarily sway you onto whether you enjoy the instruction, because it's a very full scenario, the part 3. It's not, you know, it's not real world, it's not really as it should be, and therefore it doesn't give you a true picture, and you're not teaching, you're being taught, and that's a different thing again, isn't it? So certainly sitting on lessons is the way to go. But so that's about that on that. I think there's no questions coming. I didn't think there would be on this one, because it's not particularly, I can't really think of any particular questions you can ask, but please feel free to ask questions later on if you come across any, and as I say, just get started. So driving-instructor.tv/become, that will take you to the relevant links. On the right hand side you'll have other links that tells you about part 1, 2 and 3. Have a look at those as well, and they will give you information. So the next one is tips on part 1. So we're going to do that, we can do that tomorrow at 7 o'clock, I think. So tomorrow at 7 o'clock we'll do tips for part 1. Just how to study for that, particularly the hazard perception, because it's not really designed for experienced drivers, it's designed for inexperienced drivers. So what happens, you click on it and you get no points because you're too early. So there's some simple rules for that, very straightforward, but I'm more than happy to also answer your questions on part 1, general questions rather than answers to particular questions, as in this sign means that and another, because that would take all day, wouldn't it? But generic general questions about the part 1 would absolutely be fine, and we'll cover how to study for the part 1 and it's important you just don't do it in a rote system, which we've spoken about before. Okay, so thank you for listening, and I will see you tomorrow.